So Iron Banner comes back this week after being absent from last week due to some technical difficulties. And the game type this time around is Clash. Now for some, playing Iron Banner won't be a big deal. They're going to join up with a group of friends, find a group in LFG, and for the most part have a relatively easy time winning their fair share of games. But for others who don't have the friends list to play with, or just doesn't really feel too comfortable looking at LFG websites to find a group to play with, Iron Banner might be a little daunting. It might be a little intimidating to play or to queue up solo. What's going on, guys? My name is BlindedMarksman and welcome back to another Destiny gameplay video. And in this video we're going to be giving you some tips and tactics on how to properly play Iron Banner solo. And hopefully with some of these tips give you the opportunity to not only get the gears that you want, but also have a good time playing. Now for starters, let's get the most obvious thing out the way first. Play with the Guardian you feel most comfortable with, especially if you're playing by yourself. For me, the Warlock is the Guardian I feel most comfortable playing with as a solo player. I do fairly well with both my Hunter and my Warlock, and if I was going to decide to play with a group, that's when I'll most likely play with my Titan, since the Titan's one of my least favorite class, and two, the class that I have most difficult playing with. Next, it's important to have a set amount of guns to use that's going to complement not only your playstyle, but complement the map that you're playing in. You don't want to go into Iron Banner solely relying on one particular weapon, just because the maps aren't going to be beneficial to the weapon that you're playing with. So for example, if you're playing some close quarter map, Thieves' Den for example, you don't want to be solely relying on a scout rifle or a low rate of fire pulse rifle, simply because the corridors are so tight that it's not going to be the ideal situation to be using those type of archetype weapons. So you want to make sure that you have weapons for close quarter maps and for more open maps like Widow's Court or Twilight Gap. Now the same goes for the secondary weapon you're going to equip, whether it be a sniper rifle, a shotgun, a fusion rifle, and even a sidearm if you choose to use one. Now finally, you don't want to use weapons that are going to cancel each other out. Meaning if you're going to use a scout rifle on an open map, let's say Widow's Court, you don't want to run around with a scout rifle and a sniper rifle. Yes, it might make more sense to be able to snipe someone from long range, but that's what you have your scout rifle for. And for whatever reason, if that person decides to push you, you're not going to have anything to kind of close that distance between you and the opposition. So that's why it's really smart to cancel your weapons. So if I'm using a scout rifle, then most likely I'm going to have my shotgun or my fusion rifle equipped. And the same goes for if I'm using a hand cannon. Depending on the size of the map, I might be able to get away with using a hand cannon and a sniper rifle, or a hand cannon and a shotgun. And the same thing goes for pulse rifles. Pulse rifles, I think, is the mediator between the two. I feel like certain pulse rifles are really good at close range, and they also excel at extended range. So when you want to use your pulse rifle, it really depends on what map it is and what better complements the weapons to the map. Now that we have the weapons out the way, we really want to focus on what particular subclass you're going to be using and what setup for that subclass is going to be most beneficial for your playstyle. So for example, for me, I'm using the Warlock Voidwalker. And with that, I'm using the exotic armor, the Ram. Now the Ram gives you lifesteal on melee hits, which is extremely beneficial for me. So now that opens up an extra tier on my Voidwalker subclass perks. So instead of running lifesteal, I'll be able to run something else. Now since I have the Ram helmet equipped, that means I could open up my tree perk to something else. So instead of using lifesteal that I probably normally would use, now I could equip Soul Rip. Now Soul Rip means it's damaging an enemy with energy drain, reduces the cooldown of your Nova Bomb, which means that my Nova Bomb would be ready to go more often than not. Now when it comes to discipline and strength, I really feel that comes to the preference of the player. If you're someone who relies on grenades, then you might want to stack up your discipline as high as it could be. If you're someone who likes to melee when you're in gunfights, then clearly then you should rely on your strength. I think a healthy balance between the three is a good way to go. Before, I used to solely focus on intellect and discipline, but now as the game kind of changes with every update, I started noticing more that I want to have like maybe a good equal balance. There's been big talks about the tier 12 or the tier whatever case may be of having 5 intellect, 5 discipline, and maybe 2 strength or 3 strength. I think honestly that's probably the best way to go, is to prioritize which of the 3 you really use the most, and then complement the rest around it. For me, I typically use intellect and discipline the most, so I had those top 2 more focused, and then whatever is left remaining, I usually have maybe like a 2 tier for strength, and I think that's probably a healthy balance. Now when it comes to the actual gameplay, I think it's really important to figure out what kind of player you want to be. Are you going to be a supportive player? Are you going to be a lone wolf player? I think those 2 are obviously complete opposites. If you want to be a support player, that means you want to run with your teammates, you want to lay down fire, pick people off, gather up assists, and things like that. And you know what? That's the perfect way to go. Assists and kills are what's most important in Clash. Now, if you want to go the other way and you want to be more of a lone wolf, I think, well, let's get it out the way. I'm more particularly a lone wolf player. There's times that I try to stay away from my teammates because I always feel like my teammates are going to get me killed some sort of way. So if you want to be a lone wolf player, I think it's really important to learn how to navigate the maps. Learning how to navigate the map, reading that radar is going to be extremely beneficial when it comes to lone wolfing and flanking the opposition. Now you always want to have a healthy distance between you and the opposition, especially depending on what kind of weapon you're using. If it's a scout rifle, pulse rifle, you want to have medium to long range distance. If you're using a hand cannon, you want to kind of just shrink that distance just a bit. But what's most important is you always want to have a exit route in mind when you're engaging someone in a gunfight. Now, if you ask any top tier player for any game, not Destiny, any game, Call of Duty, Halo, Gears of War, whatever game you could think of, if you ask any top tier player, they'll tell you firsthand the most important thing to do in a gunfight is to learn when to leave. Learn when to disengage that gunfight. If you're in a spot where you feel like you're gonna lose, run away. There's nothing wrong with that. If you feel like the person has an advantage over you, run away. There's nothing wrong with that. What makes skillful players, what separates the skillful players to the non-skillful players are the arrogant ones who feel like they're going to win every gunfight. It's good to have that that self-confidence, but you also want to be realistic. You're not going to be able to take out 2 to 3 players by yourself unless you have a grenade or a super in your back pocket or anything like that. Chances are, if you engage that 1v3 gameplay, you're probably going to lose, I would say, maybe 2 out of those 10 tries. Now, talking about supers, there's a big thing about whether or not you should use your super on one person, or you should just save it and hold on to it for when you have that chance to get multiple players. Me personally, I don't agree with that. I feel like if you have your super, use it. It's going to build up. If you're holding on to it, that's time that you're taking away from yourself to build up another super. Yes, it's going to be a cool montage experience. Yes, you're going to see that kill feed if you Nova Bomb or Titan Strike or whatever the case may be, multiple opponents. But if you hold on to it, how many opportunities do you really have in one given game? Not much. At least I don't come across it. So use your supers. In the gameplay you watch in the background, you'll see me use my supers multiple times on just one individual. Yeah, maybe I might get lucky and hit maybe 2 or 3, but for the most part, once I get my super, I'm looking just to use it, just so I can build it up, just because it's a guaranteed kill. And especially in Clash, when kill is your priority, there's no reason why you should hold on to your supers. Now, the last tip I could give you, which I think is the most important one, is just to have fun with the game and stay level-headed. You're not going to go positive every single game. You're not going to have that 2.0 KD. You're not going to have that 3 point whatever KD. Chances are you're going to break even more often than not. And you know what? That's okay. It's okay not to, be on top of the leaderboards every time. You know what? Here's a little secret, guys. For you guys watching those big time YouTubers who put up these monster games, out of, let's say, 20 games that they play in that particular session, they probably do really well in half of them. And then out of those half, maybe 3 of those are YouTube, and I put these on air quotes, YouTube worthy videos. We're not all that great. We're not perfect. You know, there's games I'm gonna have where I go 22-3. The game before that, I probably went 15-8, 12-10. You know, something along those lines. So you just want to keep that in the back of your mind that you're not gonna perform well every time, and that's okay. What's important is that you have fun with the game, you try your best, and you know what? You're gonna get rewarded no matter what. Especially right now with Iron Banner, especially with this past updates, that the rewards just keep flooding in. So just keep that in the back of your mind. Yes, you want to win every game, and winning is important, but it's not as important as just having fun. If you're not having fun, then you're not going to like the game, and if you're not going to like the game, then you're just going to put it down and be angry at everyone else. Trust me, I've been there. So I hope these tips help you out. I hope it gives you more of an insight of what at least my mentality is when I'm playing solo. And again, just like I said, just remember, it's all about having fun. Have a mindset, have a game plan, stick to it, and just don't overstretch yourself. Leave a thumbs up if you feel like the video is worth one. Comment, let me know what you guys think about Iron Banner. Are you a solo player? Do you play with friends? Are you a casual player? Are you really competitive? Leave it in the comment below. I'm really interested in reading that. Subscribe if you haven't already. Definitely putting up some Destiny content in the future. And until next time, peace!